Hello and happy new year to my flower painting club. Thanks you guys so much for being here, and I hope that you're celebrating a brand new year with me and you're going to be painting. So you all voted on a vintage citrus. So that is what I drew and designed. Notice I kind of like to keep a scrap paper near me, both to test new colors, but also to keep track of what I'm using for you guys. I've found lately that actually keeping scrap papers near me to test out different materials and stuff is really fun. We're going to make this citrus very vintagey, but we're also going to take it to the next level with mixed media. So you can feel free to follow along and take it to that next level, or you can just keep it as the vintage citrus. All right, so you've already traced your black line micron pen onto watercolor paper, and I am starting with a nice wash of lemon yellow hue. Seems quite appropriately named. What I did is I created, you see how there's enough water there where I have that little dab of a raindrop that travels all the way around the wash. Then I used a larger round for that, around 10. I'm not being super particular about my lines being absolutely perfect, because if you look close in vintage prints, they often actually are printed outside the lines. I did a lot of studying and looking very close at them, so feel free to not be super perfect. I dropped in, using the wet and wet technique, a little bit of the yellow ochre, and then I'm also using the pale rose blush. So I'm kind of using these three colors to create kind of a medium tone yellow with the yellow ochre, a brighter yellow with the lemon hue, and then the pale rose blush. And here I'm showing you I have a little flower pot of paper towels, and this is the dry brush technique. So what I'm doing is I'm cleaning out my brush, I'm clearing it on the bottom of the mason jar, and then I'm using my paper towel to wring out any excess moisture in the bristles, and that allows me to use my paintbrush almost like a broom that you would sweep your floor with, but instead you're sweeping an area within your wet boundary clean. All right, so it kind of creates this great light highlight. And now I'm going back and just adding a little bit more color. Wet and wet works. If you have taken any of these other months with me, you know that watercolor moves in, the paint actually moves in water. And so as long as your paint is wet, you can make changes, okay? Once it dries, it's a little harder to make changes, but it still can be done. However, if you want that really beautiful look of watercolor where it seems to fade from one color to the next seamlessly, that's all done when your wash is wet. So you have a wet body of water like I'm creating in this leaf right now. And yes, it is a little tinged yellow, but I figure no big deal. Yellow's light, and it also will tie in the lemons later. But so what I'm doing is I'm creating a nice area of water on my paper. Because this paper is 140-pound weight watercolor paper, it is designed to hold the water above its surface and keep it moving, keep this water moving wherever you put it. And then when you drop in that paint right there, I'm using it's like an oxide of chromium. I'm using Jamie Gray's hand-poured botanical paints for this green. But if you have that, go ahead and whip it out. If not, feel free to use an oxide of chromium, or even a sap green would be lovely. So by dropping in paint into a wet surface, it allows the watercolor to the paint then move within the water. Notice I've switched from a larger brush down to my round 2 here. If you have a round 1, round 2, anything smaller, so you can get really that detail. Also, the percentage of paint to water changes. So when we were dropping in that paint into the leaves, and there was so much more water, it was probably more about 80% water, 20% paint. But as I'm doing these tiny stems that are holding the flowers, it's probably more about 50% paint, 50% water, or perhaps even more paint, maybe 60%, 80% paint, depending on how fine you want it and how thick you want your paint. okay? The thicker the paint means the more vibrant the line, but there's going to be less movement. And with watercolor, you can see it's all about the movement and shine. You can actually see the shine in this video of the light reflecting off the paper, where you can actually see that top leaf, the bottom where it connects to the stem, is shining. And that is a great indicator as a painter to tell you, okay, this leaf is still wet, we can still make changes, and there will be no hard drying lines should we want to make changes now. All right, so I'm kind of playing, again, that kind of brownish burnt sienna is from Jamie's botanical palette, but you can get almost the same color with burnt sienna. And if you're really trying to color match, you can do burnt sienna plus a tiny bit of the Alizarn crimson that I use so regularly, and that'll give you more of that that will give you more of your rosier burnt sienna. That's a tongue twister. Trying to keep my color palette updated here. So here I'm showing you close up. It's definitely on its way to dry, if not all the way dry. And I decided I'd clean up the ends on camera so you see what I'm doing. I often do this and I never show it on Instagram, and I wanted to make sure you guys saw that, so your insider club knowledge here. But you can see I'm just taking a paintbrush, a round 4, and I'm dipping it into clear wash water, and I'm using a scrubbing back and forth motion just along the edges where the paint has gone over the black line. Then I'm using paper towel to really press down and pull the color up, and it gets rid of the majority of anything that might be outside the lines. Of course, yellow is a little bit easier to pick up, where this Alizarn crimson, that paint has more of a staining capacity, where the lemon yellow is pretty easy to pick up. So you have a much cleaner line, so that's a great way to play. I'm going to go ahead and paint these nice little petals, again using the Pinky Rose from Jamie's palette. A good substitute would also be that Pale Rose blush that I use frequently for all of my paints from Winsor & Newton. Another great solution, if you don't happen to have that, would be using Alizarn crimson plus a touch of the yellow ochre and then white watercolor, and you can create kind of a nice pinky hue from that combination of those 3. And those 3 are generally in every even like small 8-pack: Alizarn, yellow ochre, and a white. Okay, now notice my first paintbrush stroke is the paint and water mixture straight from the palette. My follow-up strokes are just water. Here I'm dropping in a little bit of that yellow ochre to hint at the center of a flower, because usually the centers of flowers have a little bit of that yellow. But it's really important to not to follow up those first paint strokes with just water, so that you do have that movement and shine within the entire petal. Okay, that's the way I like to do it. So we're just creating a wash in those flowers, but you're starting with a bold color, and then your following strokes are all water. Okay, here this is Perylene Green, and if you look at vintage paintings, you see that there's multiple layers. Now these are, old vintage paintings. They're screen painted. They're hardly ever watercolored, so it is a bit of a stretch to do a vintage looking paint with watercolor. However, there are ways you can do it, and that's the way I'm showing you. So I'm creating, I wanted you guys to see this too. So if you do happen to make a mistake, this is to encourage you. If you happen to do the green lines the wrong way, like I did, you can easily take your brush and do that scrubbing back and forth motion. And then I went to another leaf and just played a little bit more. And I'm letting that other one that I kind of fibbed on to dry. But what I'm doing is I'm layering a wet wash on a dry wash. So that's called wet on dry. So those bottom base layers of leaves are dry, and I'm just adding another layer of paint to hint at shadow. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. It's really cool when you can do a deep accented Perylene Green like this, especially next to that yellow. And the reason they don't blend together is because the lemon is dry, okay? And that's how you're able to create that really sharp contrast between the bright yellow of the lemon and the leaf that's tucked beneath. is you've got a wet boundary next to a dry boundary and they won't bleed together. That's one nice thing about watercolor. You can't really control it, but once you learn the kind of rule of boundaries, like I like to call it, is when you can play with one wet boundary next to a dry wet boundary, you really can create depth and shadow and hard contrast. So just like the leaves, I'm now doing it with the lemon. I am taking and I'm adding a second layer of paint, okay? This is a wet on dry technique. So I've gotten the whole lemon wet, and I'm adding that same pattern of a deeper yellow ochre to the outside of the lemon, outside and bottom, and then that pale rose blush in the center, and then highlighting more of that bright lemon yellow near the top. All it's doing basically is creating interest for your eye. So no longer is a lemon flat on the page. Because of your 2 layers of washes that you've added, there's depth, okay? Now I've switched to my round 2 here. When I'm covering bigger surfaces, notice I'm using a bigger round, like a round 4 or a 10. But when I'm doing these finer detailed lines, so this is the 3rd wet on dry layer, and this is just with very, very fine lines of Payne's gray, okay? So it's a Payne's gray, I'd say about 90% paint, 10% water. It is very, very, very fine, so you have a lot of control. Notice there that lemon was not quite dry, so I was able to use a paper towel to just dab out that Payne's gray. I didn't like that Payne's gray in the bottom flower, so I ended up dabbing it out. I'm going to do the same thing here again too. I'm just going to wet it and dab it out. I really want you to feel, especially getting to see these behind the scenes videos, of that it really is play and that you can't really make a mistake. It's all the part of the artistic process. So I decided I didn't like the Payne's gray. I used my brush to scrub out the Payne's gray, used my paper towel to lift it, and then I added that burnt sienna in at the base because I felt like that was a little less severe. Now here I'm taking, and I'm again doing my wet on dry technique to this lemon this time, and I'm highlighting the fact that this lemon is actually sliced open. Like many vintage citrus posters, you get to see a plant in all of its phases all at once. Because a lemon tree, it flowers, so it leaves out in the spring, then it flowers, then it fruits in the summer, and you don't, the flower becomes the fruit. So you don't actually have a lemon tree in all of these stages all together. So that's why these vintage citruses are fun, because you get to see a plant in all of its blooming and basically all of its seasons at once. So I really wanted to highlight, and then, oftentimes the citrus cut in half isn't still attached to the stem. So it was really fun. I had to make sure we played on that. So here I was just adding a little bit more of that pale rose blush to kind of give it an extra detail. So you can leave your piece as it is once you finish that step, or you can follow along now and take it that one more step. And this is really going to be adding that mixed media. A lot of vintage citrus, I noticed, have a stippling. So that's what I'm doing right now. Right at the beginning when I transitioned, you saw I rubbed the lemon, and that was to show you that it was completely dry. So I waited overnight to do this step. So what I'm doing is I'm just making really fine dots with a Micron 01, and I'm doing the concentration of dots where there would be shadow. So, maybe in the center of the flower, along the edge of the lemon, where the leaves connect to the stem. I'm up above near the flowers, kind of their side of their stem is more in shadow. So I'm hinting at shadow with my Micron pen, okay? And that, again, this is a great way to make your piece look a bit more vintage. You can stop after this phase, or you can continue on down the rabbit hole with me. I feel like Alice on an adventure here. So these are water-soluble pastels, and they have been my new love. They're Caran d'Arche or d'Ache. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce them. And then I'm also showing you 2 water-soluble colored pencil options. So what I did is I just increased the play. Many of you had questions about how I continue watercolor to translate into mixed media. And watercolor actually works so wonderfully as the base to any mixed media project. Because what it does is it forms this solid, amazing interest layer. And then you get to come back and accent with tools that maybe would take a lot longer. Like a colored pencil version of this entire piece would take a lot longer. But because you're using colored pencil or watercolor first, you're getting a really good, nice, solid base that has interest. You know, it has that variety of color, and you were able to lay down a lot more color quickly rather than using a pencil. All right. So these are the Studio Collection watercolor pencils from Winsor & Newton. I really like them because they have an amazing variety in color. And then here I'm just adding touches of accent with the pastels. So when not pressed very hard, pastels and color pencils actually look very, very similar on paper. They kind of have that crackle of the watercolor paper come through. But when you press hard with a pastel, you can see that it almost turns to like layering clay on top of your paper. And it's pretty amazing. And I've been having a lot of fun playing. It's like frosting. I think of it as like frosting on my watercolor. There's another food analogy. So I'm adding a little variation inside the leaves. I decided, nope, I don't like that. Mainly because I wanted to show you guys. But so I take my paintbrush with water, and because they are water soluble, check it out. You can just add some water, use paper towel, and lift it just like you would paint. It's pretty incredible. I've had so much fun playing with them. And there you go. I cannot wait to see your version and to see what you do with it. As always, ask me questions. I am here, and I'm so excited that you're a part of this community.